Hello, shall we start, Dr. Pavitra?
Yes, Dr. Rakesh. I welcome you to this webinar. And good morning, all of you who are knowing me and not knowing me. I want to do a little bit introduction for myself. I'm Dr. Pavitra Malik. I'm working as an assistant professor in National College of Ayurveda, Barwala, Hisar, in Haryana. And I say good morning to all of you and I welcome you all in this very informative webinar which will be presented by Dr. Dr. Rakesh Kumar Gujar, who is working as an assistant professor in Shalya department in AVS Ayurved Mahavidyalaya, Bijapur, Karnataka. So, Dr. Rakesh Kumar Gujar is always a great physician and he was always a very great student and great learner. He completed his BMS degree from AVS Ayurved Mahavidyalaya, Bijapur, and his MS in Master in Surgery in Government College of Ayurveda, Government Medical College, Bengaluru, from Karnataka. And presently, he is pursuing his PhD degree in SJGCHS Ayurvedic Medical College, Ghatprabha, and also MSc in Clinical Nutrition and Dietetics from Mysuru. Presently, he is working on two projects. His PhD study is going on Arsha, and Buddha Brahmsha research is going on in BLD Ayurved Mahavidyalaya, Bijapur. And he has presented so many articles in so prestigious journals and organized so many workshops and informative sessions in Ayurveda field. Presently, he is working as an consultant Ayurvedic physician and surgeon at GIAF Ayurveda Ashraya, Vijayapur, Bengaluru, Karnataka, and also as an assistant professor in Shalya department in BLD Ayurved Mahavidyalaya. So I welcome you, Dr. Rakesh. If something is left, you please, I will let you introduce yourself to your students.
No, nothing. So Pavitra has given me an introduction. It was very wonderful. And without much much time, I will start the presentation now. Today's topic is this diagnosis and the management of common environmental diseases, right? Which are generally the environmental diseases which are coming to the OPDs, day-to-day practice. So we will be covering these environmental diseases. Most common diseases like it might be the hemorrhoids or piles, and then the fissure in or fistula in and also the environmental diseases like this environmental abscesses, and also the small polyps or condylomas and all those things. And the first slide is of introduction, and next will be the list of the environmental diseases which we are going to study, and the anatomy of the rectum and the anal canal, and then the arches, that is the hemorrhoids, then the perikartika, and then the fissure in anum, that is the perikartika is called as fissure in anum, and fistula in anum, which is called as Bhaganthara in Ayurveda, and also the environmental abscesses. We'll be going through in detail about these things that after the end of the session, definitely you will be able to diagnose the days of this hemorrhoids and the fissure in anum, the fistula in anum, and also the environmental abscesses. And also you can differentiate in between the different environmental conditions, the diagnosis you will come to know, and also the management options which are available. Here in this session, many of this general practitioners and also the Ayurvedic students, and also some public also joined this session. So after the end of this session, definitely you will get something new knowledge which you are knowing till now that's related with the environmental diseases, and also those who are just studying at the fourth year BMS, right, and also the third year BMS students. So for those, it will be an informative session, right? So let us start with the first slide, that is the introduction. So what is the introduction means? The environmental disorders make up around 20% of all the OPD surgical referrals. There are around all the surgical patients which we are seeing in the OPDs. So among those, 20% of the environmental diseases will be there. And in the Ayurveda, especially in the field of this Ayurvedic surgery, as this Kshara Sutra, Kshara Karma is well-known, renowned procedure, which is globally known by the discharge for procedure in the fistula and and also in the high rectal anorectal diseases, we are seeing maximum. We are having a separate OPD session, that is the anorectal OPDs, right, in the Ayurvedic practice. And most of the Ayurvedic colleges, they will be having these. These conditions are extremely distressing and embarrassing. It's because of a shy, the patients won't come directly to the doctors because of these symptoms. Patients often put up with the symptoms for a long time before seeking the medical advice because of the shy, right? And also, these conditions are not at all sayable or not at all be said to anyone with, it can't be shared with anyone also, can't be shared with the friends because of the shyness. Because of these conditions, what happens, the patients will remain silent until they will get the severe symptoms, right? So before starting, we'll just go through the anatomy of the anorectal canal, that is the rectum and the anal. So what is meant by this rectum, and what is the anal canal actually it is? So as we know that this anal canal, this starts, anal canal is the end part of this, the GIT. So this GIT means, here on the slide you can see that this is the mouth part, right? So this mouth, we will take the food through this, and then there is pharynx, larynx, and then the esophagus. So through esophagus, the food enters into the stomach here. And then after the stomach, the food enters into this small intestine. This is the duodenum and the small intestine. And then this complete small intestine will be attached to this cecum, that is start with the large intestine. And then after this large intestine, it will be moving on, right, to the down part, that is this transverse colon and this descending colon. And then here the sigmoid colon. And after the sigmoid colon, there is the rectum. And then after this rectum, there is a small 3 to 4 centimeters of a pipe-like structure is there. That is the anal canal. You know this. Here in this part, right, the rectum. Rectum is the reservoir of the stools. The stools which is formed, the fecus which is formed, that fecus will be stored in the rectum. And this stored rectum is rectum, as it is having the reservoir, as it is the reservoir of the stools. After getting the sensations of urges to pass out, to defecate, the patient usually passes the stools through the anus. This anus means actually the opening, or the meatus is called as the anus, right? Anal canal means it is the pipe-like structure. So let us zoom on this part. Here you can see, right? Here in this slide you can see that the thing which is there, right? The thing which is there, that is the rectum. Here this is the small part. This is the sigmoid colon, and here there is the rectum, right? So this rectum is around 12 to 15 centimeters in length, and it is having some of the curvatures and all those things. After this rectum, there is the anal canal. Here you can see the anal canal. This part is the anal canal. This part is the anal canal. And here in the anal canal, right? So this part is the anal canal, and this anal canal is around 3 centimeters or 4 centimeters, or approximately we can say that it is around 3.75 centimeters on an average in the adult males and also in the females. In the females, it will be smaller, and in the males, it will be larger. So all the anorectal diseases occurs within these 3 to 4 centimeters. And also, if it is an anorectal disease, right, association with the disease of rectum, then it will be associating only the lower part of the rectum, that is the ampulla of the rectum we call. This ampulla of the rectum means this is this part, lower part of the rectum is called as the ampulla of the rectum because it is having the ampulla-like structure. So this part is the ampulla of the rectum. So maximum diseases will be seen within this canal, right? So we'll go through the detailed topic of this rectum. So starting with the GIT itself, right? So this GIT means, as it is the continuation, this anal canal is the continuation, right? Continuation part of this GIT. So here what happens, the coverings of the anal canal, right? The coverings which are there, right? The coverings which are there in the anal canal. So those coverings are same continuation parts of this, and they will end it in this rectum and the anal canal. They will end it. Means there is starting with this esophagus, we are having the external coverings and the internal. So starting with the internal to external, when we see the esophagus, from internal to external, we are having some layers, like the most internal layer will be the mucous membrane. And after this, the submucous membrane will be there. And after this submucous membrane, there is the muscular layer. And after this muscular layer, the last outer covering will be of the serous layer. Right. So here also in the rectum, there is the same layers. Right. So in the rectum, the muscular layer which is there in the rectum and the anal canal, this muscular layer is having some of the modifications, and they will form some of the sphincters, we'll say. Different types, like the longitudinal muscles will be there, the circular muscles will be there. In the stomach, we are having the oblique muscles also. But in the rectum, the longitudinal and the circular muscles are there. These longitudinal muscles and the circular muscles, right, which are there, they will help in passing out the stools, right? The circular muscles, especially, these are called as the sphincters, right? Sphincters means they will be, the circular muscles are called as sphincters. They will be having the capacity to close and open. When they can stick, they will close this anal canal, right, on the anus. And then when they will relax, they will open. So this is healthy, and it is helping for the easy evacuation of the defecation on the stools. In this, the sphincters, these circular muscles are called as sphincters, right? These circular muscles are called as the sphincters. Here you can see that this is this cross section of this anal canal, right? Here you can see that the cross section of the anal canal. Here you can see the cross section of the anal canal, and this outermost part, right? This outermost part, which is there, this is also a circular muscle, right? And then there is the internal part here. Internal, this is also muscular layer. So this muscular layer which is there internally, here you can see, I can point it out here. In this, we can see that, right? So in this, you can see there is some part. This is the internal sphincter, right? This part is the internal sphincter. And here on this external surface, you can see the external sphincter. So these are the external sphincter. These are arranged in the rounded circular muscles which are covering this anal canal. And in between that, there is the longitudinal muscle layer, right? These are the longitudinal muscle layers which are coming down, and they will be attaching to the skin. And they are called as corrugator ani. Corrugator ani means they will be attaching to, and which are responsible for puckered appearance of the anus. We will see the normal anus also. So they will be having a puckered appearance. So that is because of this longitudinal muscles which are this inserting into the skin. The internal sphincters are actually this involuntary, not voluntarily controlled. External sphincters are voluntary muscles. Right? And after this, you can see in the rectum is there, and there are some of the columns and venters. In this part, central part, you can see these are some of the things which are related with the anal columns of Morgagni. Right? These are the columns. These are actually the folds will be there. In between that, there is some of the secretions, right? So those are the anal columns of Morgagni. And also here you can see this is the pectinate line. There are generally two lines in the anal canal, which is the white lines of Hilton. Here you can see the white line of Hilton. This is the white line, first line, which is generally present at around 1 centimeter or 1.5 centimeters from the anal verge. And after that, inside again 1.5 centimeters or 2 centimeters, around 3 centimeters. Here there will be the pectinate line, right? So this is this pectinate line is also called as dentate line, and this Hilton's line is also called as white line, right? So two lines are there. Why I am talking about these two lines means these will differentiate between the internal hemorrhoids and also the external hemorrhoids, and also we can see that the fissures will not be going beyond this pectinate line, right? Generally, and here this is about the rib. This is the positions in which we are doing the examination. This is most preferred position is the lithotomy position. So this lithotomy position is generally called as the delivery position also, right? So in this lithotomy position, we will be examining the students. So in this lithotomy position, why I'm showing this lithotomy position, whichever the photos or the slides which are having in the next slides, upcoming slides, those are taken from this same lithotomy position, right? The patient will be in this position, and then photo has been taken. So approximately here, this position is. So the person, the doctor will be sitting inside here in front of the NS, right? So this is the normal lithotomy position anatomy. Anatomy means how it will be, right? So here you can see this is the anal, right? This is the anus part. And here there are some of the small boils you can see. These are the furuncles, right? There is any pathology behind this. There's a furuncle, which might be because of long sittings and those things. So these are the furuncles. So how the normal anatomy of the anal canal means, how it looks means, it looks like this, right? It looks like this. It is in the lithotomy position, right? So this is the anus, and there is no any, you can see that there is no any bulges, there is no any bleeding piles, or there is no any extra swellings, nothing. Just it is covered with the slight hairs, right? And then Here you can see in this. So we'll start with the first disease, that is the Arsha. Arsha is called as the hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids is most commonly it is known as the piles. Piles is called as the Arsha, right? This Arsha is what actually it means. The hema, right? It is formed by this having the combination of the words. That is hema means it is the blood, and ros means it is flowering. Means the blood will be flowered, or the main symptom or the main clinical feature which is present in these hemorrhoids is about this bleeding, right? The bleeding will be there. It is the bleeding will be a flushing, so or syringing type of a bleeding, or the splash of the bleeding in the pan, right? So means heavy bleeding is there. The bleeding is frequent, or it is a loose bleeding. And it is also called as a piles. So why it is called as piles means it is formed by the word. The meaning of this word is pile, a ball, right? A ball or swelling like that. So it is called as a piles. Then the dilatation, what actually this ushers or the hemorrhoids means. Actually, this ushers or hemorrhoids are the piles. As I said, it is a swelled out mass, right? And the pile means it is a swelled out mass. So this dilatation of the internal venous plexus will be there. The internal venous plexus means it is the blood supply to this anal canal, right? So blood supply to the anal canal. There is some of the vessels in the anal canal. So here you can see this in this slide that there are some of the bloods, right? There is blood supply. So here you can see that here there are some of the blood vessels are there which are cut off, and inside that here in between this pectinate line, below this pectinate line, there will be small blood vessels, right? They will start bulged out. So when they bulge out, they are called as the hemorrhoids, right? So what actually means these are the venous plexuses which are dilated one, which are elongated one, or which are becoming a tortoise-like thing, which means puckered-like thing or wrinkled appearance of these vessels. Normally the vessels will be there. These vessels, there is a theory that there is only the involvement of the veins previously, but now it is also said that these arteries and also the veins will be involved in the formation of these hemorrhoids. Right? The arterioles and the venules, and also the small masses will be there. Right? So, or the hemorrhoids might also be because of the submucous layer, which is inner layer, that is also becoming swelled up. So this is about the hemorrhoids. Means in this slide we come to know that the swellings will be there in the hemorrhoid, and also after the swelling there will be heavy bleeding, which is the meaning, which itself the self-explanatory meaning of this hemorrhoids, right? And here you can see in this slide, this is the internal hemorrhoid and the external. The hemorrhoids are classified into internal hemorrhoids and the external hemorrhoids, right? The internal hemorrhoids means these are, you can see the internal hemorrhoids means these are present inside the anus, right? One examination directly you can't see the internal hemorrhoids. The internal hemorrhoids might be present, right? As I shown this in this figure, right? In this figure you can't say that here the patient is not at all suffering with the internal hemorrhoids because we can't see only the external surface, right? But here in this image you can see that internally there is a swelling. So in the normal anatomical lithotomical positions you can't find any of the swellings. Here in this slide you can see that there is a small external swelling is there, bulge of mass is there again, which is the vessel swelled out. So that is the external hemorrhoid. External hemorrhoids can be seen. The main differentiating factor, how we can differentiate the internal and the external hemorrhoids on examination means it is through just if the covering of the swelling, right? There should be a swelling. Hemorrhoids means there should be a swelling. If the swelling is covered with the skin, then it is the external hemorrhoid. If the swelling is covered with the skin, means skin is there, just you can see that the skin has been bulged out. That is the external hemorrhoid. But in the internal hemorrhoid, the swelling which is there, no, it will be coming out venous and it will be having the covering of normal mucous membrane. Mucous membrane means it is a pinkish membrane, which is inside.
टाइम पर एक्शन नहीं लिया और उल्टा टाइम मांगा
the oral cavity inside that there is a small thin layer is there.
वो अरेस्ट करेंगे 9:30 बजे
So that layer is the internal. Means the covering, if it is the mucous membrane or red colored one, then it will be of the internal hemorrhoid. If the swelling is of the skin,
और वो
right,
रीजन
then
आपको
it
एक
is the external hemorrhoid, right?
फेसबुक पर allegedly
Next slide. So what are all the causes of these hemorrhoids? Why these hemorrhoids are caused? the main thing is for
derogatory
almost
post
all
डाली जो
the
कि प्रॉफिट
normal
मोहम्मद और
inherited diseases
इस्लामिक
is
बिलीफ्स के
the
अगेंस्ट जाती है, काफी
constipation.
ऑफेंसिव है
Constipation
उनकी
is the main thing.
बिलीफ्स के लिए। वासब मुल्की
Constipation
के
means the
नाटगांव
patient is having, the
पोस्ट
patient will not be passing
के
the
जो
stools
स्क्रीनशॉट्स
regularly.
हैं वो लोकल
It might
व्हाट्सएप
be
ग्रुप्स पर फैलाए गए, वायरल
for
हुए
a day
पोस्ट
or
और
with
अलग
a
अलग
gap of
सोशल
2
मीडिया
days or
हैंडल्स
3
पर भी।
days.
और सेम
But for
शाम
some
करीब
individuals, if
7:30
they
से
are with the
7:45 बजे
Vata Prakriti,
लोगों तो
they
एक
might be
भीड़
having the normalcy. It is not at all called as a constipation. But still, if they are having any of the other symptoms, if they are not at all passing the stools,
इकट्ठी हुई
after that,
पुलिस
if they
स्टेशन
are
पर, इस
having
भीड़ को
the bloating of the
करीब
abdomen
200
or
लोग पुलिस
sadpana, atopah, all those things are there, then it's called as
स्टेशन के बाहर
constipation.
गैदर हो चुके हैं। और इस पर लोग क्या
Constipation means
कहते हैं,
regularly,
पुलिस
some of the patients will be there.
फैक्ट चेकिंग
Regularly, they will
नवी
be
को
passing the
स्टेशन है
stools,
कि नवी करती है
passing
सेम
the stools after a gap
10
of
बजे
a
है
day.
और
Alternate day, they will be
पुलिस के
passing.
लोग
Some patients are there,
11:30 बजे
they are
तक
passing the
पहुंचती है,
stools after
उसे
2 days.
वैंडलाइज करती है, आग
So,
लगाती है
if they are
प्रोफेशन पर,
causing that
तक
any
हालत
of the
लोग
conditions, any
इसके
of the
बाद 100
pathology
और
related,
वेडनेसडे
then it's
रात को
called as
ज्यादा
constipation.
50 से ज्यादा पुलिस
Means
आइडेंटिफाई
not
करती
having
है
or not
और
clearing
मदर
out
किडली
the
पोस्टिंग
stools. They
इनोसेंट
will
है
not be
और
passing the
उन्होंने
stools
कि उनका
clearly.
फोन
It
सीनियर
is
का
the
फोन चुरा लिया
constipation.
था,
Then can see that
फेसबुक
the
हैक
second
करके
point
किसी और
is
ने
about the
रेगुलरली ऐसे
straining,
ऑफेंसिव
right?
मटेरियल
Second point is about the straining. Straining means to give the pressure while defecating. So while if you are defecating, if you are passing out the stools, if you start straining, if you are giving pressure to pass out the stools, that is called as the straining, right? If you are straining, then generally what happens because of the straining, there is the bulging out, there is the increased in this pressure inside the anal canal or the rectum. So when we are straining, as it is increasing the pressure, the end vessels which are there, which are called as the hemorrhoids, bulge out of masses, so they will get bulged out. Normal vessels will be there. If there is a pressure, then they will start blowing or they will get swelling, right? Swelled out. So this is also the cause, straining if it is there. Straining might be again because of any other things also. Means if the patient is having the hard stools, and also there will be straining. If the patient is means this is not a faulty bowel, how it is called as faulty bowel, it means the straining should not be done. Normally we have to pass out the stools. It is a normal procedure, not a non-physiological procedure. The straining should not be there, right? Normally, if we start breathing in and out, it will have the relaxation of the anal muscles and it will have the defecation. So if it is straining, if it is putting pressure, then also that is the cause. Then over-purging means this heavy stools if during this dysentery or diarrhea, right? If there is the dysentery or diarrhea, if the person is passing heavy stools, right, then also there will be the cause because of this continuously passing out the stools, then the mucous membrane will get millions, right? And then this continuous passing of stools will cause the increased pressure. That can also cause this hemorrhoids. Then the hereditary causes are also there, which is a congenital weakness in the vein will be there, or the wall will be there, right? The vessels will be having the weaknesses. So it is the hereditary one. Or the abnormally large arterial supply. Right? The large arterial supply, if it is there, then also there is the heavy amount of this blood will be there, will be rushing into the vessels. Then the symptomatic patients like the carcinoma of the rectum will also be suffering from, may also be suffering with this hemorrhoids. Or during pregnancy will also lead to the hemorrhoids, right? And also straining at the micturition, if they are passing with the urine with straining, with again giving the pressure, right? It might be associated with some of the diseases like BPH, right? Benign prostatic hypertrophy. Or if they are suffering with this small strictures in the urethra. So urethral strictures, they will be straining, they will be putting a pressure to pass out. Then the pressure will also cause this, the increased pressure inside this anal canal. That can also cause the hemorrhoids. Then the chronic constipation, which is again said, if it is a chronic constipation, then also
Islam ke khilaf prophet post jo thi,
aggravating causes are this enteritis. If there is the enteritis, which is the inflammation of this intestine or the colitis, can also cause this, or the dysentery can also cause the aggravation of the condition. If a small hemorrhoids are there, they will get bulged out, right? And the classification, as we see, right? As we see in the classification, the classification is of internal hemorrhoids and external hemorrhoids. Or you can see that here, internal hemorrhoids and external hemorrhoids. The internal hemorrhoids are classified into 4 types: type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, or degree, first degree, second degree, third degree, fourth degree. This internal hemorrhoids, not the external hemorrhoids. It is the internal hemorrhoid classification. In the internal hemorrhoids, the first degree means generally because of these conditions, the clinical features will be the heavy bleeding or profuse bleeding or splashing out in the pan or syringing type of a bleeding will be seen in case of these hemorrhoids patients. right? So bleeding per annum will be there, or bleeding through rectum, or bleeding per annum will be there. So this bleeding is because of rupturing out or having a small tear in this internal swelled out mass. As it is the bleeding mass, right? The blood will start oozing down. So bleeding will be there. And this internal hemorrhage, as I said, is having this autonomic nervous supply, because of which there is no any this pain is not at all felt. If there is a small tear also, the internal hemorrhage won't be painful, right? The external hemorrhages are painful, but the internal hemorrhages are painless. So painless bleeding will be there in the hemorrhage. So first degree, what happens? Only painless bleeding without having any other things. Only the person will be having, the patients will say that I am having bleeding per annum. There is no any pain associated. There is no any other problems, or there is no any swelling.
ये मैं नहीं कह रहा
This is the first
बताएं
degree.
आप
Second
कैसे
degree means what
offensive
happens?
सवाल
The swelled out mass which is there now, it will start coming out of the anus, right? It will start coming out of the anus, and again on its own it will move inside. After during defecation it will come out, and after passing out the stools it will move inside, right? It will be moved inside, or reduction will be there. Self reduction it is. It is the second degree hemorrhage. Then in the third degree hemorrhage, the swelled out mass will come out. The patient has to put inside this mass by himself. The patient will put inside. The anus will be having the swelling. That swelling is not at all moving inside on its own. In the third degree, the patient will put inside, right? Or the manual reduction will be there. Manually, the patient will reduce the swelled out mass. He will put inside. In the fourth degree, the swelling is there, which is the prolapsed mass. It can't be reduced without having any of the anesthetic agents, or without doing any of the steaming things. It is the fourth degree hemorrhage. It is the prolapse. So first degree only bleeding will be there. Second degree, the mass will come out and move inside on its own. Third degree, the mass will be coming out and it will be pushed inside manually. The fourth degree, wherein the swellings will be prolapsed. It can't be moved inside. It is about the fourth degree hemorrhage. So these are related with the internal hemorrhage. Then the external hemorrhage, right? External hemorrhage are generally there is a slight pain will be there, and there will be slight this pruritus any will be there, means the itching will be there. So all those things. So bleeding or a splash in the pan or painless blood right during will be there, defecation will be there. Mass per anus will be there. Mucus discharge will be there because of the irritation of the swellings. Pruritus means it is itching around the anal canal will be there. The pain, right? The pain will be there. Pain with a complication. Without any complication, there is no any pain in the internal hemorrhage, but some of the external hemorrhages are painful. Or if there is this thrombosis is there, a small hematoma or blood clot is there inside this external hemorrhage, then also it will be painful. Then the anemia, because of the complication we can see because of strong this heavy bleeding, there will be the anemia. Also the per-rectal and the proctoscopic examinations has to be done, right? So examination part, I'll just show you a video, right? And here you can see that external hemorrhoids, how the external hemorrhoids are, they will be looking like the thrombosed hemorrhoids can also be the external hemorrhoids, or the sentinel parts. These can be differentiated with external hemorrhoids. Sentinel panels, I'll say. So in the next class, which is related with the fissure in anal, and the anal skin tags. The anal skin tags are small skin tags which are there. So those are also the swellings which are there in the external hemorrhoids. So here you can see in this image, this is the hemorrhoids, right? This is the hemorrhoids. So on the left side of your screen, you can see that this is the internal hemorrhoid, right? There is a small, this inflammatory swelling is there, inflammatory edema it is called as, right? It is inflammatory edema. And internally you can see the red swelled out masses, which is having the covering of this mucous membrane. This is covered with the mucous membrane, right? So this is the internal hemorrhoid, which is a fourth degree hemorrhoid, right? It has been prolapsed mass it is, right? And then on this side also you can see these are the internal hemorrhoids, right? You can see the differentiation. So this part which is there, no, right? This part which is there. So this is the internal hemorrhoid, means the mucous membrane is there. Externally you can see the skin like this. This is the skin, and this is the mucus, and this is the external hemorrhoid. This is external hemorrhoid, means this is a case of intero-external hemorrhoid, means both conditions coexist, internal and the external. Most of the times the internal and external hemorrhoids are same, means the coexisting of the internal and the external hemorrhoids will be there, right? And here this is the external hemorrhoid. So you can see that the swelling is there, right? The swelling is there. Here the swelling is just covering of the skin. As you can see the skin cover. So this is not the swelling which is related with the internally red mucous membrane is not at all there, right? Internally mucous membrane is not at all there. So this is the external one. This is about the external hemorrhoids. So I can easily differentiate between the internal and the external hemorrhoids, right? Then what will be the prescription for this? This is for general practitioners, right? So generally we'll go on with the Kankanavati, right? Kankanavati will try to shrink off the masses, which are, it might be the internal and it might be the external. And the Bolabhaddhavati, which will reduce the bleeding and also passes the stools easily. Arsha Kotaras again shrinks the masses and also this can reduce the bleeding. Then the syrup Abaresta can be given, which is about the thing which can reduce the bleeding, which can shrink the masses also if it is consumed for longer durations. And these things, right, these should be taken under the medical supervision itself, right? These are just common medical prescriptions which are there. And also we'll go for the Kshara Sutra therapy, which is if it is not manageable conservatively, and then the Kshara Karma therapy, if it is again not managed conservatively. Then after these, right, this sits part is also one of the most important conditions, which can really relax the muscle, anal muscles, also can reduce the pain, also can relax the anal muscles. As it is relaxing, the constipation can be reduced, right? So the main thing is constipation. We have to treat the underlying cause also. What is the cause of this disease? That cause has to be treated. Then the next disease is Parikartika, which is the fissure in ano, means it is the cut, right? This fissure in ano is the cut or the linear tear it is. It is called as a fissure in ano. If there is a small wound or cut in the anal canal, right, or in the anus, then it is called as the Parikartika or fissure in ano. It lies between the anal boards and the dentate line. As I said, the dentate line, that mass which is there. No? So that dentate line means here you can see in this image, right? In between that you can see this. So here you can see the dentate line. But this is the dentate line or pectate line. This is right here. Up to here there might be the fissure. In between that only, and it can't move above that, right? So why it is again moved is because of this structure which is presented, right? So this is about the fissure. Fissure means what it is? It is just a cut or a tear, right? So this is the fissure in characterized by intense pain. The pain will be there. The main condition associated with the fissure is intense pain will be there. Severe excruciating pain will be there, because whenever this stool comes in contact with the fresh wound, right? The anal canal, the external part of this anal canal is supplied by the somatic nerve supply, which is again where is symptom, right? So here you can see that this Parikartika means the severe pain will be there, right? Severe pain will be there, and this pain is because of whenever the stool comes in contact with this small cut or the fissure or the ulcer. This stool, as it is having this salty structure, right? The bind salts will be there, the acids will be there, because of which the pH will be altered. And when we are putting out a small, if there is a small fresh wound, after that on this wound, right, there will be the stool. It can cause the severe pain. So during defecation, the patient will be having severe pain, because of which the patient can't pass the stools. He will come out of this toilet. It is because of the excruciating severe pain. Right? This is the main characteristic feature of this fissure in a condition. This is called as the Parikartika, which is Kartanavat or cutting pain in the anal region. It is in the Ayurveda. Then what are the causes? Means again hard stools. If the hard stool is there, the constipation also can cause this fissures. Inflammatory bowel disease or STDs can also cause this, or the post-surgical complication because of this dilatation of the anus if it is done. So the fissures will be there, the tears will be there during this obstetric injuries also, right? During the delivery, there might be the relaxation of this compulsion, the tummy is also there. There might be some sort of fissure. And also diarrhea can cause this anal fissure because of this continuous loose stools. The mucous membrane will shed off, and there is the dryness, and it can cause, or it can open out or making a small wound. Anal infection can also cause fissures. So the constipation and the hard stools are the main thing, right? Hard stool, if it is there, if the patient is having the hard stools, if he strains, if he puts the pressure to get rid of this hard stool, then this hard stool will come out by tearing out the anal canal, and it will create the fissure. Then the clinical features, intense pain will be there associated with the defecation. Then the bleeding will be there, which is a white red or streak-like things. Means the bleeding will be there as it is having a cut in the anus. The bleeding will be through the streak, means on the attached with the stools itself, you can say. Also, mucus discharge will be there, pruritus will be there, skin tag will distally in case of chronic fissures. Also the constipation. So here you can see this is the image of the acute fissure, right? Here you can see the acute fissure. This is a small cut is there, tear is there, or wound is there. This is the fissure in it. And here you can see that chronic fissure. Then on this part you can see this, there is a cut, right? Anal canalitis, here in the anus you can see the cut. So here you can see that there is a small tag. This here at the end of this cut wound, there will be development of a small sentinel tag, which is a guarding tag. It is right. The healing will be there here at this place. So there is an extra tag. So it is in the seen in case of the chronic fissures, which generally around 4 to 6 weeks later there will be development of a small tag if it is not treated, right? Then the prescription for this is the Fiflavacur can be given, Gandhakarasana can be given, Anloma DS, which is Agandha Anloma, or the Gandharavastaditela, depending upon the patient's prakriti and all those things. And this Sitspat can be given. Also, ultimately, if it is not treated with these things, we can go for the Kshara Sutra, Kshara Karma. And then the fissure in it, this fistula, what is the fistula means here? The fistula means it is the abnormal communication between the epithelial surfaces. If there is two, right, surfaces are there, in between that there is, if there is abnormal supply, if there is abnormal track is there, that is called as the Bhagandhara or the anal fistula. You can see that this is the rectum, right? Here externally you can see the small opening will be there. Through that opening there is, you can see the track which is running down, and it is having the internal opening inside the anus, right, or in the rectum. Here also there are different types of, these are the different types of this anal fistulas. That is the extrasphincteric, above the sphincters, suprasphincter, which is again above the sphincters. Extrasphincteric means above this extra sphincters and the internal sphincters, right? And also this transsphincteric, which in between the sphincters, and there is the intersphincter, in between the two sphincters. You can see this intersphincter and the submucosal. So these are different types, right? Then you can see this is a fistula and bigger. So here externally you can see that there is an external opening is there, which has been probed out. This probe has been put inside from the external opening to the internal opening, right? So this has been probed. So here, this is a complication. Actually, this is a case of the chronic fissure which has been complicated and it has been become like this. This is the fistula. Prescription, generally this fistula, right? Fistulas can't be treated well, means treated on the conservative management itself, because there will be collection of the pus will be there. Why this fistula will be there means fistulas are because of the small abscesses may turn out into the fistulas, right? So generally these fistulas can be treated on the conservative basis. Generally the prescription includes Triflagukulu, Gandhakarasana, and the Saptavamshatika Gukulu, along with the Sitspat and the Kshara Sutra, Kshara Karma can be done. And here you can see in the anorectal abscess. Anorectal abscess means it is the abscess, normal abscess which is present in and around the anus. It is the anorectal abscess. Right? A small abscess is there if it is there inside or around the anus or in the rectum, around the rectum. That is the anorectal abscess, right? And then here you can see what are the causes of these things. Infection of the anal gland, if it is there, then also causes this abscess. Or penetration of the rectal wall. If there is a small foreign body, if there is external injury, then also that can cause the infection and can lead to this abscess formation. Blood-borne infection, if there is a small gingivitis, right? Or if there is a small septic foci, if you are having a small wound on this extremities, right? So that wound may have the septic foci and it can run into this anal region and then have this abscess. Extension of the cutaneous boil, if it is there. The cutaneous boil means, as I said, it is this furuncle, a small hairbed infection, what we say, right? So there you can see that, right? This is the cutaneous boil. Infected anal fissure, right? Infected anal fissure can also cause these things. And the infected thrombus pile, if it is there, then also cause these things. So what are the abscesses with prescription? Generally we'll go for this IND has to be done, right? And if it's a small one, then generally it will subside on its own. If a small abscess is there, then we can go for this Triflagukulu, Gandhakarasana, and also the Anloma DS. Anloma DS is prescribed here just to have the easy passage of the stools, or right. And then the IND has to be done, and after this IND, the Kshara Karma has to be done. These are the images you can see. Here there is a swelling, right, which is the anorectal abscess. This is the anorectal abscess or ichthyorectal abscess. It is bigger abscess. The swelled out mass is there. Right, and here also you can see on this image also, here also there is a swelling, right? And you can clearly differentiate that this swelling is completely different from the swelling which we seen in the hemorrhoids or the piles, right? The hemorrhoids or the piles, the swelling will be there in the anus, in and around the anus here itself, right? Here, the swelling is not the in and around the anus, but it is a complete one. And here also small abscess can develop, which can mimic like this anal abscess, right? During the earlier stages, you can say, but you have to differentiate, right? Then these are some of the links which we can go through to understand completely about the endocrine diseases, right? So before that, I'll just show you some of the videos. Right? Show you some of the videos which are like this. Means the endocrine up to now, till now, you will have come to know that what are the differences, how we can differentiate between the endocrine abscesses, how we can differentiate between this endocrine disease and all those things, right? So just to show you the differentiating features, how this differentiate, how we can differentiate between this endocrine disease and all those things. That's some of the videos. So this is one of the condition, which is a malignant one. Here also there is a swelling. You can see that there is a swelling, right? This swelling is not actually the hemorrhoid, right? This swelling is not actually the hemorrhoid. It is the malignant melanoma, or it is a cancer of the rectum. Means the swellings will be there, but we have to differentiate between this normal swelling and also this abnormal swelling. This is the not normal one. Means this when we see this swelling, it looks ugly. Ugly means the swelling is not a rounded one or oval shape. It is an irregular swelling. And also on touch, you can have the bleeding. So this is the malignant melanoma, right? So this is the malignant melanoma, wherein after searching, you can see that this condition, this swelling is not clear one, not like the swellings which we seen in the earlier slides, which is like the hemorrhoids. So this is the malignant melanoma, right? And we can see the internal and the external hemorrhoids, how we can see differentiate the internal hemorrhoids. Here in this video, you can see that there is no any swelling just on examination, but when the patient starts training, right? Now the patient is starting training, you can see the external masses are coming, internal masses has been coming, right? So actually this is the swelling, this swelling is of the internal hemorrhoid, and this is the partial collapse of the rectum, it is, right? Internal hemorrhoid, it is there. And then you can see this examination part, how we have to examine the things, right? How we can examine the things. So this is the examination part, which is in the lithotomy position, right? The PR has to be done, how to do the PR, right? Generally, we use this pulp, this index finger for the PR. This pulp has to be put over the anus verge, and then it has to be clearly inserted with the gloved xylocaine or the lubricated finger, and then we have to insert and we have to see out whether any pathologies are there, right? So this is about the examination part. And also you can see that the abscess I will show this IND, how we'll do IND in the abscesses, endometrial abscesses. So this is about the most common procedure. Before doing any of the endometrial surgical procedures, we'll go for this anal dilatation procedure. Means it is the dilatation of the anal sphincters. The sphincters will be dilated, right? Here the lubrication is doing on. After this lubrication, we can see that it has been lubricated, and one finger or two finger dilatation will be done. Actually, generally this has been anesthetized, means under local anesthesia it has been done. So before and after giving the local anesthesia, you will have generally the relaxation of the muscles. Right now, the two fingers dilatation is there. After this, the four finger dilatation. So this dilatation can be done in case of these hemorrhoids or fissures in and second degree hemorrhoids will go for it, or any of the procedures which we are doing, and the surgical procedures, there we are going for this anal dilatation procedures. Right. And then this is the thing which is the endometrial abscess. So IND has been done in this endometrial abscess disease, right? So here you can see that the incision is being taken out, right? And the pus is coming out of going out excruciatingly active stress, and this is a cruciate incision, the plus shaped incision, you can see, right? The incision is plus marked incision, cruciate incision, which has been taken over the most dominant part on the prominent part of the swelling. And then after this, it will be done with the evacuation of the fluid, which is there. Speed it out, right? And this is a counter incision, which is being taken, again extra incision to cover out the or to drain out the extra mass, and it has been done. Now the complete pus has been evacuated. This is IND procedure. Right? This is about the analysis. And these were some of the procedures which are done, right? And internal hemorrhoids. This is also the second degree internal hemorrhoids. You can see the internal hemorrhoids, second degree internal hemorrhoids. The patient is started straining. You can see the swelled out mass which is coming out. It is an internal hemorrhoid, right? And also the second small mass is also there. You can see here the internal hemorrhoid, right? And actually, this can be done. This is the external hemorrhoid. So inter-external hemorrhoid it is, right? Inter-external hemorrhoid. Again, the patient will, if the patient is having the straining, if the patient starts straining, then only you can see the mass is coming out. And think these are some of the things. Now, just I'll show you the slide. Right. So these are some of the videos. You can see this later on. So now, at the end of my session, you are definitely able to differentiate the different common innovative diseases, that is the piles, fissure, and fistula, right? That is, this is the normal anus condition. This is the normal anus, and this is the external, inter-external hemorrhoid. Right? This is the external hemorrhoid actually, and here this is the fistula. You can see this has been Kshara has been put out. Right? The Kshara therapy is under the progress. This patient. So external, this external opening is there. Internally there will be opening, and we will be putting on a set on the Kshara Sutra, so which is just covering complete track. And weekly once we will change it and cutting along with the healing part. So this is the fistula. Again, you can see the external small boil like thing is it. Externally, the pimple is there, and internally, if you are seeing a dimple, like thing, a small this depression is there. External pimple and internal dimple, right? Pimple and dimple, pimple externally, internal dimple. It is the fistula, and here you can see this is the fissure, this is the small cut, and this is the abscess, right? So this completes my presentation, and thank you for being with me. Right? Now, if you are having any queries, any doubts, we can discuss. Dr. Pavitra.
Thank you, Dr. Rakesh. Anatomy and physiology, everything about the relevant to the anorectal diseases was explained very beautifully, and it must have helped and to a great extent to our students and whoever is interested in this field. Also, this degrees of ARSHA and pictures, videos, everything was very well presented and very well understood by every one of us. Thank you so much. And students, if you have any doubt, you can ask. It's a great opportunity.
Sachin Manjula. So can you read on these things in just a minute? Sachin Manjula is asking diagnosis between the normal and the abnormal swelling.
Yeah.
So normal swelling and abnormal swelling here, and generally we'll say that if generally the anal cushions are there, right? Anal cushions are there. Anal cushions means here you can see in this slide. The anal cushions means small swellings will be there around the anus, right? So the swellings, how we can differentiate between this normal and the abnormal one means the normal swellings means the swellings which are the malignant one. I used the word normal. Right? Generally, if there is a swelling, it is not a normal one. It is actually the pathological one, abnormal one. But how we can differentiate means generally the swellings which are there. Here you can see this swelling. This is also a swelling, right? Anorectal abscess it is. This is having the profuse swelling. It is in this condition you can see. But if it is a small, if it is in the early stage, you can see that the swelling it might be a smaller one also. And the oval shaped swellings will be there generally, right? But if the irregular swelling is there, irregular means it is not having a particular shape. Right? If it is not having a particular shape, and if it is not having or not relevant, or it is looking ugly, so ugly, right? So that the swelling is also the abnormal. Abnormal means here the malignant one, right? So in that video, you might have seen the swelling was also there, right? In that video, you might have seen the swelling was there, right? But here in that video, in that malignant melanoma, the swelling was there, but it is not a regular one. Regular means a small, this you can differentiate easily the swelling which is a round or oval shaped. But here you can't say, you can't see that there is a regular swelling. This is the abnormal one, means the irregular mass is there. Right? Irregular mass is there, irregular mass, right? And also on the malignant one, if you touch, right, touch on bleeding symptom will be there always in case of this malignant melanomas or the carcinomas, in the rectal carcinomas, right? But the bleeding on touch will not be there generally in case of other diseases, right? But there might be this hemorrhoids will also have the profuse, the bleed profusely. Hemorrhoids can also, but you can see the differentiate the swelling which is there. Means this is the irregular swelling, this is the regular swelling. Means the shape you can see. I think I answered your question.
And then next question is from Rajendra Joshi. Can we practice Shar Patan Karma in fistula in nano?
Yeah, Kshara Patana Karma means it is a what we'll say is the Kshara Patana Vidhi means it is the just application of this thing. That is the application of this Kshara, this Pratisarniya Kshara, the paste which is there, no? That Kshara will be applied. How we can practice this Kshara Patana Vidhi means we have to lay open the fistula, right? This fistulotomy, what we'll say, means the tract completely has to be opened out, and after that there is a unhealthy granulation tissue will be there. That unhealthy granulation tissue has to be, what we have to do, we have to scrape it out, right? So after scraping the unhealthy granulation tissue, we just apply this Kshara. Why we are using this Kshara means this can burn the things, right? It can burn out the tissues, right? Which is the unhealthy granulation tissue. Scraping can be done. After scraping, we can also go for the Kshara. Means it is extra added effect of this Kshara Patana Vidhi, right? Fistulotomy, after that Kshara. And also we can use this Kshara Patana Vidhi in the IND also. After doing the IND, what we can do is, after doing or after opening it, we can apply this paste, which is the Pratisarniya Kshara, and so that there should not be any small pus locules if it is there, if the pus pockets are there. So we have to completely scrape it out. After scraping, we can apply it so that there should not be any recurrence. Right? There should not be any recurrence.
Then Deepthi Surendran is asking, can Pratisharan Shar aggravate fissure in ano, as there is already Pitta Visheshan? So she's asking that how effective it is in fissure in ano.
Yeah, generally in this Pratisarniya Kshara is not done in the acute fissures, right? Acute fissures means they will be having a fresh wound will be there. They will be having a fresh wound. So if you are applying a fresh wound, over the fresh wound, if you are applying this Kshara, then it will start heavily burning. And generally this Kshara Karma procedure is done under anesthesia, right? So this Pratisarniya Kshara, which is done, it is not done always in this acute fissures, which is the fresh wounds, but in the chronic fissures. Chronic fissures means where there is the fibrosis of this edges of the ulcer will be there, right? So here you can see that. I'll show you the image. Right. So here you can see this is the fissure in ano, right? So this fissure in ano. So here you can see in this fissure in ano. Here, if there is the fibrosis of the edge is there, means chronic fissures will become fibrotic, right? So when there is the fibrosis, means the fibrotic means it will become the thicker one. The edges will become thick. So when the edges will become thick or fibrotic, they will not close. They will not approximate. The wound will not heal as the fibrosis there. So there is development of extra ring or extra covering over the edges. So there will be development of the skin tags or sentinel pall, we'll say. It is called as a guarding pall, right? Guarding mass it is. So this acute fissure, if it is there, if a fresh wound is there, right, then there is no need. But if it is a chronic fissure, then we can apply this Kshara over the edges of this ulcer so that the fibrosis can come down. After the fibrosis has come down, then we have to do again the extra procedure, that is the dilatation has also been done, right? The anal dilatation has to be done so that there is the complete blood supply to the particular part which has been hindered. And I'll just want to clear a concept, right? So if there is a small tear over a hand, it will get easily healed. If you do the dressings, it will heal out. But here also there is a small cut, but it won't heal generally. Why it is? Because here what happens, there is the constriction of this part, that is the constriction of the sphincters will be there. This constriction of the sphincters will also hinder the blood supply to that part which is healed off or cut off. That part will not be getting the maximum blood supply. So when the blood supply is hindered, right, then what happens? There is the healing delay in healing. And it will, as it is the area to have the continuous contamination, daily the patient will be passing the stools. That stool will again come and accommodate over that wound, infecting. So in the chronic fissures, we can go for the Pratisarniya Ksharakharma or Patana, Kshara Patana, which will say, that to reduce the fibrosis. Or if you are cutting out or if you are taking out the central pylons, after that also you can apply the Kshara so that the healing is better and there is no infection.
The next question is from Sahana Joshi.
Yeah.
She is asking about Lord's anal dilatation in hemorrhoids and fissures.
Yeah. So here you can see that the Lord's anal dilatation is generally done in case of to relieve the pressure, the anal pressure which is there. If there is the spasm is there, right? If there is a spasm means the sphincters will become tight. And when the sphincters are becoming tight, then what happens? There is the hindering of the blood supply. And also, if there is a fissure, the fissure will not heal because of the blood supply is not at all there. And here, if it is the swelled out mass is there, means it is the hemorrhoids. So in the hemorrhoids also, as this pressure is there, as this spasm is there, it can again increase the intra-anal pressure. Again, it can increase the bulge of masses. It can again increase the swellings. So in case of the second degree hemorrhoids or third degree hemorrhoids, we can just go for just an anal dilatation procedure. Or if it is acute fissure is there, right? There also we'll just go for the dilatation so that this dilatation can reduce the anal pressure so that there is the increased blood flow to that particular part. And also in case of the hemorrhoids, it can reduce the anal pressure and it can reduce the swellings also as it is having the spasms. So in the second degree or first degrees, we can go for the hemorrhoids. We can go for this, the dilation procedure.
Any other questions? One more question is there. How useful is Pichu in fissures? From Santosh.
Yeah, generally this Pichu means it is generally what we'll do. We will take out a small cotton, right? Cotton or the gauze piece, and we'll dip off this cotton inside any of the healing drugs like the oils, right? The thailas or grutas will use, and we will put over the particular part. That is the wound. If it is there, this fissure, there is a wound on that part. We'll put up. It can definitely help in healing of the wound externally, right? The healing will be there because of putting this Pichu. We can use this Pichu to have the healing, and it is useful in case of the acute fissures. If there is an acute fissure, in the acute fissures we can go for this Pichu, right? But in the chronic fissures, if we are going for this the Pichu, that is the Pichu, in the chronic fissures, it will be the Drishtavrana like, right? So Drishtavrana, we have to do the Shodhana for the Shodhana thailas, right? And then after that we can go for this Pichu, right? And so in case of this chronic fissures, we have to go for the dilatation because we have to reduce the internal pressure. The spasm has to be reduced. But in case of acute fissure, it is definitely helpful. It is definitely helpful in case of acute fissures.
Then next question is from Mahesh. How good will be ligation of Kshara Sutra in second degree hemorrhoids?
Yeah, in second degree hemorrhoids, generally the second degree hemorrhoids means the swelling of the masses will be there, which are coming out and they will be moving inside. If this is distressing to the patients, right, then we can go for the Kshara Sutra therapy. right? But it can also be conservative management, means it can be managed by conservative basis, just by giving the, as I prescribed some of the drugs now, those can be prescribed and it can be managed conservatively. And we have to avoid the nidanas which are there, with causative factors has to be avoided. If we are avoiding these nidanas and if we are giving the medications also, then definitely we can conserve, we can manage the second degree internal bloods with the conservative basis. But still, if it is not at all helpful for the patient, right? If you are giving the medications, but still the patient is not at all happy with your treatment, then definitely we can go for the Kshara Sutra ligation. It is a simple procedure, it can be done. We can also reduce this recurrence rate also.
The next question is from Anu Bangadwa. I think that question should be elaborated a little more. She is asking that with the Ayurvedic treatment, can we treat chronic patients permanently?
Yeah, definitely it is, because the environmental field, the environmental or the coloproctology, what we'll say, or the proctological practice, what we'll say, not only in this India, but in the abroad also, this is having much more scope, right? Much more scope. You might have seen many of the conditions which are then generally this Kshara Sutra therapy in case of fistula and is actually recognized by WHO, and there are many of the researches has been carried out on all this. Still starting with the 68, started by this Vijay Deshpande and all. And after that, it has been aggressively studied and researched. And now in this WHO is also recommending this Kshara Sutra therapy in case of the fistulas. And also definitely we will get a complete and the permanent cure for these things. And also this Kshara Sutra therapy is also mentioned in this 26th edition of this Billy and also, which is a big well-known surgical textbook, right? So in that also you can have the reference of this Kshara Sutra therapy. And also when you go through the research papers, there are maximum researches has been carried out and still going on to the efficacy of the Kshara Sutra. And definitely permanently we can cure the diseases, right, with the Ayurvedic management.
Okay. Any other doubts? So Dr. Rakesh, thank you so much. It was very beautiful interacting with you, and I want to let my students know that you were my classmate and we studied BMS together, and it was very beautiful to have a webinar with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Same here, Pavitra. And I'm also very much delighted and privileged to have you all here. Starting with this, this is my, as you know, this is my mother tongue, native place, and this is my mother institution. Still working in the same institution, right? And coming back here and starting my profession again with the same institution, and knowing the things means getting the friends, which were the usual friends, again, like this meeting in this webinars. And it is also much full, means delighted and also honored for me that you invited me for your guest presentation of the webinar. And I'm thankful to our principal, Dr. Sanjay Kadipatli sir, and also all the staff of our college. And also I'm thankful to your principal and also the Department of Kaya Chikitsa, and also especially you for asking me and to give this presentation and share my views regarding these things. Thank you. And thank you all for the viewers and also for your questions. I think I answered almost all the questions. But still, if you're having any doubts, you can contact me.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Rakesh. So we are going to end our meeting here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.